What's up, coffee lovers? I'm back after a long hiatus, but happy to be here with some beautiful weather to boot. And with this sunny weather, we are going to be looking at Lanna Coffee Company. And this is new for me because, well, first off, these guys reached out to me and asked if I'd be willing to review some of their coffee. So, full disclosure, I received this coffee for free, although I was not, of course, paid to do this review. They left it in my hands, so I was excited to try this for several reasons. One, it's coming from a region that I have never had coffee from before. So specifically, this coffee was grown in Thailand, Northern Thailand, and it was roasted here in California. I'm not sure off the top of my head exactly where in California. So that was one thing. And then the second thing that intrigued me about this coffee is that they provide clean water to the farmers that source this coffee. So 15 cents of every pound of coffee sold goes back into the coffee farms that actually produce it in northern Thailand, and that's part of their mission primarily, is to provide clean water, but they've also done some other stuff to help the communities where the coffee actually comes from, which is great. This one specifically, the Pa Kha, is I think sourced by 40 different farmers in this region in northern Thailand. And they said that in addition to bringing clean water to the village, or to the region, I should say, they also built a school for the youngins out there. So they're doing a lot of great stuff. I always can get behind a coffee company that is, or at least a roaster that's doing a little bit more than just your typical fair trade label. So cool stuff, and I am just going to get into it. So this is coffee number one that they sent to me. It is, again, known as the Pa Kha, and it is Arabica 100%. Comes in whole bean form. I'll give you a look at the beans here in a second. And then it was grown at 1,200 meters above sea level and naturally processed. So this one was naturally processed. The other one they sent me, which I will do in a separate review, is honey processed. So similar, but not quite the same. And you know, I guess it makes sense when a region is struggling to get clean water that they wouldn't be wasting a ton of it on processing coffee. I think it's primarily used to help grow the coffee, and this is, I guess, historically one of the reasons why Thailand has not necessarily flourished in the coffee scene, just because of lack of clean water access. But that is changing, and Lanna is at least one small part of how it's changing, and potentially even large part. I really don't know what the scale of their impact is, but they have a good mission. So let's get to tasting it. So far, I've brewed this coffee a couple times. As you can see here, just brewed up a batch in my Chemex. Did a pretty medium grind, and as you'll see here, the coffee beans are nice, uniform, medium roast. So that's definitely in my wheelhouse. I like medium roasts. I like light roasts. And just by tasting this, I can tell you that it is definitely in line with what I would expect from A, a naturally processed coffee, and B, a medium roast coffee. So let's talk about the natural processing first of all. Lot of blueberry notes, and that goes with the aroma primarily, I would say, but also in the flavor. So there's definitely some pretty strong blueberry flavor, and that's in tune with what they're saying here as one of their primary notes here: blueberry, caramel, and brown sugar. The caramel and brown sugar element, I would say, is more in the aftertaste, And this is probably, in my opinion, more attributed to the roast than the processing method. So I think that those brown sugar, smoky, darker notes that I'm picking up in the latter half of the sip, so it's like blueberry up front, but then it darkens out at the end. So the aftertaste is darker, and I think if it were a light roast, the blueberry would probably linger a little bit longer, and in fact it would probably potentially be a little bit more acidic. That's just my speculation, of course. So I think they're pretty on the money with the flavor notes they have here on the bag. My opinion of it is that I think it would do really pretty nicely as espresso. This reminds me of one of my favorite coffees historically, just in terms of like highest rating that I've tried out on the site, was an Italian medium roast that really reminded me a lot of this coffee. A lot of kind of Ethiopian natural elements here, and it did really well as espresso and came again from Italy. So at least it was roasted in Italy. So this one reminds me a lot of that, and what I'm thinking is that it would probably do really nicely as espresso. You know, it's a medium roast, it's got those nice fruity flavors, but it's also got those darker flavors. And I imagine it would make a really nice balanced espresso. Unfortunately, my Pressy Twist or my handheld espresso maker, the only one that I ever used, is now gone. It crapped out finally. I stopped replacing the parts on eBay, and now I am in the market for another espresso maker. I am looking at another manual option, which is the Flare. But anyway, I digress. Again, just speculating here. I think this would be great for espresso. My opinion of it as drip, which is what I've primarily brewed it at, is that it's pretty good. I think of the two that they sent me, it's actually probably my second favorite. And I think it's because I was hoping for maybe a little bit more sweetness than what I've been able to get out of it. And I wouldn't say that it's overly bitter, because I think the blueberry does help balance it out, but it's still a little bit too far to the dark side, if you will, for my taste buds at least. But I think a lot of people would like this in the sense that it is quite balanced, as I already mentioned, and not overly acidic. I know a lot of you guys tend to like darker things in terms of coffee to begin with, so this is a good balance for sure. So anyway, that is Lanna Coffee Company's Pa Kha. You should check it out if you're into those medium roasts and want to try a natural coffee from a new region. Maybe if you haven't had Thai coffee like me before, check it out. And you know, it's for a good cause. That always makes me feel good, and it should make you feel good too. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.